and we discussed about how to handle, yeah, the dynamic tables, dynamic lists, creating elements, adding elements. So that is the primary concept actually, right? Yeah. So next, after understanding that, we need to know about another concept in general programming we need to learn about. In JavaScript, I told you already date type also, how to handle the date types. So by using the date constructor, storing the values and using the values, right? Next, we need to understand about JavaScript operators, a basic idea on operators and expressions actually, operators and expressions. So technically, you need to understand some important JavaScript operators and extensions, expressions, especially. So let's see how we can manage and how we can work with them. Actually, what is an operator and how do we use these operators are important to understand. Um, few examples we will discuss and few we will implement practically. Already I told you that because this language we will use with the jQuery. Then in jQuery you will have a complete clarity on how actually we manage the interactions in real world applications in a simplified approach actually. We need operators also. So operators expressions, we will discuss them and we will implement them here. So I'm going to show you simultaneously now. So you have seen how to manage all these with JavaScript, but I told you that we don't do everything with JavaScript so directly in, especially in UI development. Lot of jQuery we will use. I will show you that. Now, after, because for that we need to first complete the language. Let's see what is Java, what are JavaScript expressions and operators, expressions and operators. Actually, expression is used to technically expression. So is used to evaluate a value, evaluate a value, and return any functionality, functionality. That is what actually the intention of expression. It evaluates a value and returns a functionality. Actually, in JavaScript, uh, expressions are classified into several types. In JavaScript, expressions are classified into several types. We have the expressions categorized into primary expression. Expressions are classified into several types. We have primary expressions. We have left hand side expressions. Left hand side expressions. So these two are the major categories of expressions. So technically, what is expression and what is the purpose of expression? So an expression is used to evaluate a value. An expression is used to evaluate value or to return a value or to return a functionality actually. So what are primary expressions and what are left hand side expressions? These are two categories of expressions available in JavaScript. So actually from ES 6 and higher versions of JavaScript, we follow these expressions. Generally, earlier, when people learn about basically JavaScript operators, data types, statements, that is how they understand. But technically, architecturally, so this is the best way to learn JavaScript expressions and operators to understand the correct categorization. What are primary expressions available? Primary expressions. So we have primary expressions are built by using the keywords like this, by using function, by using class. We have function generators, function generator. We have yield. So yield. We have yield generator, yield generators. So we have async functions. We have await functions. We have await. So we have expressions. These are all expressions. We have array initializer expression. So we have object initializer expression. We have regular expression. Regular expression. We have grouping operator expression. These are all primary expressions. These are all primary expressions actually. This all comes under the category of primary expressions. So this function, class, function generators, yield generators, async, await, all these are the functions. We cannot use all of them now because to understand yield, function, async, await, we need to learn some OOP concepts also. But I am keeping all these in one location category so that we will see them in different correct situations. Okay, this all comes under primary expressions, and I hope already we know this. This is a keyword that refers to a property, a special property of an execution context. Currently, actually, it will be a property referring to the current context, a member referring to the current context. That means it is an object of current class. They are current class members. So current object related members. We can access by using the keyword this. So that is the keyword. This is the keyword which uh, sends information about the current object. Sends information about the current object. In so many ways. In so many ways. For example, I will show you. Already we know in an object type, we have learnt in an object type. When we learnt an object type, we saw that object related properties within that object are accessible by using the this keyword, by using this keyword. Already we saw that. So this is an expression which sends information about the object. I will show you this. Okay, see here, I am creating a simple doc type HTML head and title and this. Okay, and here we have body. In this we have a button. So button. Okay, button have an ID BTN. So BTN submit. Button have a name called submit. So button have a value called submit. Button is having so many options, like a button have a name, suppose submit button. Okay, and the button have a value like submit. So button can have class like BTN. Button have the class like BTN. So it is having the class like BTN, right? Now button have lot of things. Button have lot of options and lot of things, right? I will tell you 1 second. Okay, so here, so button has a lot of properties and lot of options to configure it. Now important is button have an option. So button have an option, right? So properties, it is having properties. We are writing a script. We are writing a function. So submit click is the function. This function will be called when we click the button on click. It will call the submit click. Okay. Now the button, this submit click has to know about the button, about the current context with for which context it is working. That means what is the button name, what is the button class, what are the button properties. We need to understand about that. Technically, so technically here, how the button knows about how the function knows about the object actually. Now you can use this expression. This is an expression. This is a primary expression which sends information, which returns actually, it returns information about the current object. Current object is button. It sends information about the current object, this in the current context. Then you can store that information in a reference. This obj is your own reference. You can use anything. But here, this is a primary expression. It should be mandatorily this in this way. Keyword it is. And the details of this current object are sent into this submit click. That means obj is a parameter which can access all the information about the current context. Current context means button. How I will tell you. So I am printing here document.write. Here I am printing the details. So what are the details? So one is so button ID. I want to access that button ID. Then obj.id can access the button ID. In the next one, so button button name, and here obj dot name, it will get the button name. Suppose we have button, so class, and here we are using obj dot class name. It will get the class name. Means we need to know first what properties it is having. Suppose I just define the properties and attributes are important. Already we know that. Now this is going to get the information about the button. Suppose it is the value. That means you need button value is obj dot value. It gets the button value. That means usually what happens is this is the context which sends information about the current object, which contains information about the current object. For this button text, here I am giving submit is the text. Okay, and that is the text. And I click on submit button, it sends information about the object. And you see that all other details are returned correctly, but the class is returning an undefined, because in the properties we don't have any class, so we have class name. Class name is a property. Dynamically when you are accessing that class name will come as button. I told you already, same name, you remember na difference between property and attribute. I told you in HTML itself, right? So what is difference between property and attribute? What is difference between property and attribute? What is difference between property and attribute? Remember, in HTML we learnt about property and attribute. Yeah. What is difference? No one have the answer. What is difference between properties and attributes? So many people are there. Are you all alive? Uh-huh. Right. Property is technically property is, yes, properties are dynamic and attributes are static. Am I right? Properties are dynamic. Elements have properties. Tags have attributes. That is the point. Uh, now, don't say both are same. If you say both are same, no use of learning UI technologies as UI developer. Because that is the primary thing first we discussed even in HTML also. If you say both are same, then 100% guarantee that you don't know proper HTML. That is the basic thing. So already we learned so many times in the HTML itself. Only I told you properties and attributes are different, and every attribute need not to it's every attribute may not have a similar property. Generally in HTML you write attributes, but in JavaScript we use properties dynamically. They don't have same names every time. So that means value is value, name is name. So class is not class, that is having an property called class name. Class name. And how do we know? How do we know that? How do we know that the these are the properties of any object? What properties an object contains? How do we know? What properties an object contains? How do we know? So for that you can do one thing. So this is general example. So to know what properties object contains, so you can write a logic like this. First you create var img. Now image is equal to, so new image, we are creating an image and we want to know all the properties of image. So then what we do is, so we usually have a for loop for var property for var property. So in img we are reading every property by using in operator. Already we learned that. And a document dot write, we are printing that property. This is to print all the properties. And you see it will print all the properties, and these are all the properties of an image. Important is, for example, these are all the properties. For example, you have learned in HTML. So image is having border. Border is an attribute for image. So let's go to the properties list and here search for border. So border is available. That means they have the same. In image, You have used, suppose in image you have class. Let's search for that attribute called class. Class is not there. Here it is class name or class list, different. ID is there, name is there. So, but class is not class, it is class name. That means when you are dynamically dealing with any element, then we need properties. Sometimes properties names are same as attribute names, but sometimes they are different. Sometimes some properties are not available at all. That means some attributes are not available as property. If attributes are not available as property, then we have to use alternative techniques to use them. That you will learn later how to do that. But initially, the information about the current context, is sent by using this keyword. So already we used that in object, and here also one small example I showed you that you can send information about the current object by using this keyword. So this is the example which sends information. But you need to use the properties to that access the information and work with that information, right? So that means now you can see that when I click, it gets the information about the button. So a few details about the button. Technically, that is the primary expression. This is a primary expression. Okay. We have function expression. Function expression, so is defined by using function keyword only. And function keyword, so is used for defining a function that returns any functionality. Here in interviews, at high level interviews, that means very experienced people interviews, because this much in-depth of topic cannot be asked for freshers, because you can't expect to have so much in-depth knowledge about the concept. For a fresher level, it is too much to expect that. So basic idea is okay, that's enough. So, and interviewer also will test the same. He will not go more depth because he knows that you are fresher. But when you show experience, then what they have to conduct, what they have to ask you, because already you are experienced. If you are already saying that I am experienced, then what they can ask you in the questions, you must have an answer for everything. But important is the technologies are so vast that so many things are there architecturally, which you may not get a chance to know every time, because you need to spend a lot of time to do a lot of research on that and to understand the topic. Usually, that is the reason. I hope you know that. I will tell you a simple example. Suppose you are having 3+ years experience, and you are attending an interview. So, and some interviewer is there. The interviewer, what he is doing is, so the person who is interviewing you, so is having suppose 10 years experience. He is interviewing you. And do you know this 10 years experience person, if he have to change company, so if you have to change company, then he also have to undergo interview. He also should undergo interview. Am I right? Am I right? That means the 10 years person also is get interviewed. Now the point is, what I can ask for a 10 years experienced person who already done several interviews. I hope you understood that point, right? That means what we can ask to a 10 years experienced person, he might have an answer for everything, na? Am I right? He might have an answer for everything. right? But actually, we have questions for him also. But actually, we have questions for him. We can test his skills also. That means so much in-depth concepts will be there that you can even test. You can even ask a question for a 10 years person, he can't answer. Such complex technologies are. That's the reason you cannot expect answer for every question for every level people. That's very difficult actually. Suppose if anybody asks you like how you will say that function is an expression, how you will say that class is an expression. This type of questions are asked for experienced people. So function is an expression, class is an expression. How you will say that class is an expression, function is an expression? Actually, so for example, see here, I am writing a script, and in the script we are writing a function, and this function is taking a and b two values, and it is returning so a plus b. Now this function is not having a name. Generally we call anonymous function. It is not having a name. Then this function is evaluating this value. Then we will declare a variable. We will declare a variable. So, and this variable will hold this function return value. Will hold that function return value. That means what it will do is it will execute the function. It will return the value and it will contain that value. It will execute the function, it will return the value, and it will execute the value. Right? That is what actually the point. That is what actually the point. Right? Technical. Right? So that is technical. That means this is not a function declaration. It is called function expression. Suppose we write like this. So function add. So a comma b, and here we write so return a plus b. Actually, this is function declaration. This is called function declaration. And this is called function expression. So this is called function expression. What is difference between declaration and expression? So declaration is having a syntax, but you need to execute this, and you need to store the result in a reference. Expression contains a reference already where you can store the value and return the value and use the value. That means in the memory, it will store that value. Here we have to store this result again in memory. So that means if you are configuring any function, so without any name, then its intention is to directly return some, evaluate some value and return some value. Evaluate and return some value. That is important. So then you can handle that by using an expression. Even class also. Later we will learn about classes. So class having some employee. This is called class declaration. But if a class is having no name and it is having some members and it is stored in a product type, this is also class. But this is class expression. And the above one is class declaration. So this is what more in depth about the point to understand. So this is called class declaration. Employee is declared as a class and product is defined as an expression. So this is what difference between the declaration and expression. So that is the reason if anybody asks like how you can put them in expressions, is class a expression? If anybody asks class an expression, that means then you can say that yes, it is an expression. If you know class expressions, then it is an expression. If you are not aware of class expression, then you will say no, how class can be expression, right? But class can be used as expression. Function can be used as expression, which we will discuss. How to use them as expressions, we will see. So in OOP concepts, I will tell you. All right. Here, few things we will discuss, others we will discuss in the OOP concept. Okay. Because we have to learn so many things with regard to others. Directly, individually, we can't handle them. This we can see, I showed you. Functions and classes we will see when we are discussing about OOP concepts. Okay. Next, this function generators and yields also you will learn while learning about the OOP concept. Actually, function generator, so and yield, how to deal with them, we will discuss about it. They are related to pointer mechanisms. In OOP concepts, we will learn. Async await also we have to learn along with timer functions, timing related functions. We have to learn async await. So these topics I will not tell now, so but we will discuss in OOP concepts, because we will surely discuss them in OOP concepts, because these are important at interview level and you can't directly touch them without knowing some basics of functions. So that's the reason. But this all comes under the expressions. What is await, what is async, how to deal with them, we will discuss. These are primary expressions. So this function, class, function generator, yield generators, async, await, and arrays, object, regular expression, and the general grouping operators, right? These are all comes under the category of primary expressions. So we have left-hand side expressions. Left-hand side expressions are nothing but, so we have left-hand side expressions. One is property accessor. Property accessors are left-hand side expressions. Property accessors are left-hand side expressions. Left-hand side expressions. They are property accessors. New is a left-hand side expression. New is a left-hand side expression. Actually, new is an operator that creates an instance of a constructor, and it will dynamically allocating. Actually, it is a dynamically allocating memory allocating operator. And we have super. Super also comes under the expression. And we have /obj. That is called a rest operator. A rest operator, right? That is also comes under the left-hand side expression. So left-hand side expression. This comes under the category of left-hand side expressions. So technically, what is property accessor? Remember, we are learning these categories. So with regard to the advanced concept of JavaScript, because early versions of JavaScript, all these types of facilities are not completely available. Few are available, few are newly added. That is the reason people who say that I am learning JavaScript ES7, I know JavaScript ES7, then he must know that expressions are two types. That is primary expressions, left-hand side expressions. He must be able to tell what are primary expressions and what are left-hand side expressions. Usually, left-hand side expressions are nothing but left values are destination of an assignment. Left values are the destination for an assignment. Then we call them as left-hand side expressions actually. I will show you. Property accessors are new in new in JavaScript. Earlier JavaScript don't have that facility. So now in new JavaScript we have that facility. What is a property accessor? I will tell you. Suppose LET product. Product is an object. Then object means you have to define like this. Okay. Now in an object, how do we store the properties and values? Usually, already we know property name and colon, we can put some value like this. But now the latest versions of JavaScript that allows property accessors. That means you can say product of, and you can configure product of name. So product of name. So product of name. and is equal to, so you can define some name. So we have product dot of price is equal to, so because it is just like an array now, so it is equal to some value defined into it. Now if I want to access and print this document dot write, so I will keep all this in a script, right? So in a function, so F1, yeah, in a function I will keep all this. So this is a product. So the product have name, the product have price, and document dot write. We are printing the details of name is equal to. So it will get the value from product dot name, and we need to print the price. That means it is coming as, so product dot price. It is coming as product dot price. That's how we print the details. And we call this, so we call this function, F1 is the function. And you can see that, and it is going to return that value and display. This is a property accessor. So left hand side, these are treated as destinations. That means this is where the result will be stored. This is a property accessor. And actually, suppose I want to access the property. See how I am accessing. Product dot name. Instead of that, I am writing here. I will keep both empty. So we are not printing those details. Empty. Now here we are accessing product of name. I'm accessing the property in this way. I'm accessing the product of price. We are accessing the product of price through the property name. It is accessible. This is property accessors, and this is the new approach of dealing with objects. So this makes the objects easily extendable. Because already it has some properties, and I need to add one more property into it. Easily you can extend a property. You can easily manipulate the properties and configure the properties by using this property accessors. That is the technique of this mechanism. So this is a property accessor, and we call these are property accessors. So this is new into JavaScript. This approach is new into JavaScript. So this is a left-hand side expression. Why? Because left-hand sides are the destinations. They are the destinations where your data will be stored, your result will be stored, your expression will be stored. And important is they can handle the operations like both getter and setter, get and set the values, right? Initially, that is one basic point, that is property accessor. That is one left-hand side expression. New also, already we know that new is a dynamic memory allocating operator. Already I told you it is a dynamic memory allocating operator. Suppose I said var some list is equal to new array. That means what this new is doing is it is allocating memory. It is allocating memory for array type, and it is loading all the members into that memory so that you can access them and use them through this left-hand side expression. So that means through this list, we can access those details. So new is allocating memory. So that means it is a dynamic memory allocation operator. Generally, in many points, many languages, programming languages and all, sometimes you may hear like new is a keyword. But in JavaScript and in this kind of environment, technically speaking, it is not a keyword, it is a operator. So new is an operator. So that means it is a word. So it doesn't mean that it is a keyword. It is an operator actually. New is an operator, right? It is a dynamic memory allocating operator. New is a dynamic memory allocating operator. it allocates memory for this dynamically and it loads the members into it. So that's already we saw in case of date, in case of this, we already saw that. Means how it allocates arrays and all, we discussed about that, how we can allocate the memory new, right? Another, so we have super. So we have super. This super you will learn in OOP concepts, base class, derived class. You have to learn about classes, I will tell you. Then we have OBJ. This is called REST parameter, REST parameter. So REST operator actually, that is REST operator actually. REST operator is nothing but dot, dot, dot. That is the REST operator actually. And it can have any reference name, reference name. Dot, dot, dot is a REST operator actually. That means it is a REST expression type. That means what is the speciality of this REST expression type? I will tell you. Suppose here we are having a function called print list. And in this function, so we are expecting some value. We are expecting some values. So we are expecting some values. And we are printing those values for var. So for var item of values, we are printing those values. Document.write, print that item. So we are printing these values, configuring and printing those values. That is the concept of configuring and defining the values. Okay. We are configuring and defining the values and printing the values. Fine. Now, the key concept here is, that means print list is expecting values. Now here the option is, so print list, we have to call print list. How many parameters it is expecting? How many parameters it is expecting? How many parameters expecting? How many parameters it is expecting? Print list is expecting how many parameters? Function is expecting how many parameters? It is expecting one parameter. Now I am typing here. So I am typing here. So Delhi. So Hyderabad, like this. So is it valid? Is it valid? Is it valid? It is not valid. It is not valid. But it will not show an error to you. It will not show an error to you. It is going to pass this Delhi as a value, and it will use Delhi, and it will read Delhi every item 1, 2, 3 like an array. Understood? That means this is going to print that Delhi as an array. Understood? That means only one parameter it is going to take here. It is going to take only one parameter, that is this parameter. Now this is expecting only one parameter. So means only one value. Now you can make this. So with dot, dot, dot. This is a REST expression. REST expression is nothing but it tells that collect all the values, means all the parameters, collect all the parameters and store in this reference. Collect all the parameters. That means all the rest of values collected up to end. How many are there up to end? It will collect all the values and it will store in that reference. That means all right side values are collected and stored in the left side, one reference only. That means this is representing one parameter but accepting multiple values. One parameter accepting multiple values. Then you can see that it is able to access all of them and display them. This is a REST operator. This is also REST expression. This is also not available in our early versions of JavaScript. So from JavaScript, the ES6 version onwards, these are available. These are available. So this is REST operation. And this all comes under the category of left-hand side expressions, because it will collect all the values and finally stores everything into the left one value difference. And you can use that to access and work with that. Up to end, whatever are there, up to end, whatever are there, you are adding more. Up to end, whatever are there, it can access them and it can use them. So this is a left-hand side expression. So we have a property accessor, we have a new, and we have super, and we have a REST expression. REST expression. Technically, this all comes under the category of left-hand side expressions, right? Left-hand side expression. So two types of JavaScript expressions are there. Actually, earlier, even today, some websites you will see online when you are reading tutorials and all. Many people have a classification like arithmetic expressions, logical expressions, right? String expressions, like that. Classifications will be there, different types. They are okay. They are all okay based on the operations. They are classifying the expressions. Based on the operations, they are classifying the expressions. So not based on the operations, based on the behavior, the expressions need to be classified. That means generally you will see that many people saying arithmetic expressions, logical expressions, that is depending on the operations they are performing. But in reality, expressions are not just based on the operations they are performing. They depend on the behavior of that particular expression. That is the reason the main category of expressions are only two. So we have primary expressions and we have left-hand side expressions, right? These are all the members of those expressions. Next, we have operator. And in JavaScript, operators are again classified into several types based on different behaviors. They are classified into different types. We have increment and decrement operators. Increment and decrement operators. So we have unary operators. We have unary operators. And we have binary operators. We have ternary operators. So different types. We will see them. Actually, what are those? Technically, so what are increment and decrement operators available here? Increment and decrement operators are again classified into, we have postfix and prefix increment, and postfix and prefix decrement. So we have the operators. So we have x plus plus and we have so plus plus x. So x minus minus, so and minus minus x. So that means postfix and prefix incrementations, increment operators. These are increment operators and decrement. Post prefix and prefix increment and decrement operators, right? So that is the types of operators. I will tell you. Actually, suppose we are configuring here the function. So where, so first write a function f1, okay. And what is postfix and prefix? Where x equal to 10 and where y is equal to x plus plus, and document dot write, and we are printing the value. So x is equal to, so the value of x, and so y is equal to the value of y. We are printing the value of x and y. Now let's keep a simple break here. Now the point is, So in this case, actually x plus plus means x value will be incremented by 1. And that incremented value, that means it is nothing but general. In general, x is equal to x plus 1. Is equal to x plus 1. That means its value will be incremented by 1 and stored in x. Now the point here is, if it is so, then this is called post increment. This is called post increment. This is called post increment. So now what is the value of y then? What will be the value of y? And what will be the value of x? What are the values of x and y now? Finally, what will be the value of x and y? What will be the value of x and y? Yeah. So the value of x and y actually is, the value of y will be 10. Value of y will be 10. X will be 11. So that means I run this here. You see, y is 10, x is 11. So majority of people will go wrong with this if they are not good in programming, because they have to learn that actually. So postfix, the meaning of postfix means after assigning the current value to y, then it will fix this incrementation. Understood? That means first it will assign to y. After assigning to y, then incrementation will happen. Then incrementation will happen and value of x will be incremented by y. So this is called postfix. Understood? Postfix. In postfix, what will happen? First, it will assign its value to left hand side. Then it will perform incrementation. That is the reason y value is 10, because x is initially 10. And this x10 is assigned. After assigning, it will increment. And x value is now incremented by 1 and stored in x means 11. So that is the option. Suppose if I define plus plus x, that means prefix increment. Then what is the value of x and y? What is the value of x and y? Prefix increment. Then what is the value of x and y? So both values will be 11. Why? Because it will increment first. And that result will be added to 11. Y will be added to y. Then in that case, it will be both 11. Similarly, postfix decrement, that means x minus minus. This is decrement, means minus 1, decrease by 1. Then what is the value of y and x now? What is the value of x? What is the value of y? So what is the value of x and y? So the value of y is 10 and the value of x is 9. Am I right? The value of x is 9 and the value of y will be 10. Right. So that is what actually the prefixing. Suppose I say minus minus x. Now in this case, so in this case, both will be 9, right? In this case, both will be 9, right? So that is what actually the point about postfix and prefix, increment and decrementation. Postfix and prefix, increment and decrementation. So that is the general thing. That is the general link. Right. That is the general thing. So this is incrementation. That means increment and decrement operators. So increment and decrement operators. Now we have unary operators. Unary operators are nothing but unary operators perform operation by using only one operand. They will have only one operand. That means suppose plus, it needs two operands, one left hand side operand, another one right hand side operand. So that is an operator. So two operands. So suppose I have defined, so plus, so any operator, right? Suppose 10, that is general, so negative. This is 10. This is not an expression. This is a type configured. So generally operator evaluates a value with the two operands. So we need two operands, left and right. If there is only one operand, that is called unary operators. And the unary operators, so we have unary operators like delete. Delete is an unary operator. Void is an unary operator. Type of is an unary operator. In various occasions, so even plus, minus, and tilde, and not, these are also unary operators. So in different occasions, I will tell you. So unary operators, they need only one operand. That means delete, void, type of, these are unary operators. Now what is the concept of these unary operators? So unary operators. So for example, so that means what is delete actually? So we have an object, product, and the product object is having properties, name, so TV, and it is having price. So price is some price. So price and name are the properties of this object. And we are printing them, document.write. So we are printing here name is equal to, so $product.name. And in the next line, price is equal to $product.price. We are printing them. So that means initially it is printing the details of the product. Now price is a property. I can delete any property by using delete operator. Delete uses only one operand. So that is product.name. That's it. So our product.price. That means it is deleting that price. So that means it requires only one operand here. So this is an unary operator, so which deletes this price. Price delete is used to delete any property. It is used to delete any property, and it deletes that particular property. So the property is deleted. And you can see if property is deleted, it is unable to print that price because it is deleted. You cannot delete properties of built-in objects. For example, I say delete, so math.py. It is a property. You can't delete it. Why? Because it is a built-in property of a built-in object, which you can't delete. Only the properties that you created, you can delete. Because all the built-in properties of built-in objects are read-only properties. You cannot delete them. Even you delete, they will not work. So you can delete only the properties that you configured for an object explicitly. So if you are not deleting, then it is available. If you are deleting, that means it is removed. That means you cannot have that. Delete is that particular point to understand. It is a unary operator to delete any property from an object. And similarly, all other operators are there. How to deal with them, we will see in our next session, right? So tomorrow, we will finish all the operators and statements concept. Then we can start understanding OOP concepts. So with that, we will finish all the JavaScript and we change into jQuery now. And we will use all this JavaScript language in jQuery to start building applications, right? That we'll see in our next session, right? Tomorrow we'll continue with that, okay? Right.